Alright, let's dive into a story that's been weighing on my mind lately, one that's not just about a tragic event, but about the bigger questions it raises. Here's the deal. A man named Viet Truong, a 60-year-old grocery store owner in Melbourne, died after trying to stop a group of shoplifters. But this isn't just another crime story. What makes this really interesting is the way it forces us to confront issues like community responsibility, youth crime, and systemic failures. Personally, I think this story is a mirror. It reflects back at us the complexities of society and how easily things can spiral out of control when we ignore the warning signs. First off, let's talk about Viet Truong. This guy wasn't just a shop owner, he was a pillar of his community. Neighbors describe him as friendly, always smiling, and deeply connected to the people around him. His store, Hong Hung Asian Grocery, had been a local staple for over 2 decades. One thing that immediately stands out is the bravery it took for him to intervene. Shoplifting isn't new, but the fact that it escalated to violence, and ultimately, his death, is a stark reminder of how quickly things can turn dangerous. What many people don't realize is that acts of bravery like this often come from a place of deep community ties. Truong wasn't just defending property, he was standing up for the safety and integrity of his neighborhood. Now, let's talk about the perpetrators. 5 youths, aged 12 to 15, were charged with assault-related offenses. Here's where things get complicated. On one hand, it's easy to vilify these kids. But if you take a step back and think about it, what does it say about our society when children this young are involved in such violent acts? In my opinion, this isn't just a failure of individuals, it's a failure of systems. Where were the support networks? The interventions? The community programs? This raises a deeper question. Are we doing enough to address the root causes of youth crime? Or are we just waiting for things to escalate? Another detail I find fascinating is the response from local traders. Julie Tran, who owns a nearby restaurant, pointed out that the shopping strip has become a hotspot for crime and antisocial behavior. She's been calling for help from the council and state government for years. Her words hit hard. They could have made a change. It didn't have to take a person to die for them actually to try to push for this further. What this really suggests is that Truong's death wasn't an isolated incident, it was the culmination of years of neglect and inaction. From my perspective, this is a wake-up call for authorities to take community concerns seriously before it's too late. Here's where it gets even more complex. Crime rates in the Brimbank Council area are at a 6-year high, almost 9% above the Victorian average. Politicians like Laverton MP Sarah Connolly and Police Minister Paul Edbrook have met with traders, but the question is, will this lead to real change? Personally, I'm skeptical. Meetings and promises are one thing, but sustained action is another. The council is lobbying for more police, but is that enough? What this really suggests is that we need a multifaceted approach, one that addresses not just crime, but also mental health, education, and economic opportunities for young people. Finally, let's reflect on the broader implications. Truong's death has sparked an outpouring of grief, with floral tributes outside his store and flags flying at half-mast. But what happens when the flowers wilt and the flags go back up? Will we remember the lessons here, or will we go back to business as usual? In my opinion, the real tragedy would be if Truong's death becomes just another statistic. What makes this story so powerful is its potential to inspire change, not just in Melbourne, but anywhere communities are struggling with similar issues. So, here's my closing thought. What if we saw this as a call to action? Not just for governments or authorities, but for all of us. What if we asked ourselves, how can we build stronger, safer communities? How can we support young people before they turn to crime? And how can we honor people like Viet Truong by ensuring their bravery wasn't in vain? Personally, I think that's the real question we should be asking. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below.